Hey, hey, singers. Be sure to give me a wave when you hop on. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions or comments, put them down in the chat. I'll be glad to answer questions while I'm on here. Any questions you have about singing, about the voice, about vocal health, any vocal topics. You can ask me career questions. You can ask me audition preparation questions. Anything you think of would be great. I'm just looking to make sure that I can find the comment section here. Okay, very good. Here we go. Chat. Excellent. Okay, so one of my recent shorts was on breath support. And I thought I would read to you a little excerpt from Renee Fleming's book called The Inner Voice, The Making of a Singer. And if you don't know who Renee Fleming is, she is one of the most famous living American opera singers. And I love the way she talks about breath support in her book. She says, "How I support my breath is relatively simple to explain, but in practice, a difficult process to really coordinate. Once I have taken in that optimal breath and my abdominal wall is open, out, and expanded, along with as much of the rest of my torso as possible, I resist allowing these muscles to collapse again." So that's that idea of having a really great expansion in your torso when you inhale, when you take your breath. That's the first step in breathing, is the inhalation, right? The singer's inhalation, not to be confused with just a regular breath for everyday life. So what she says here is resist is the key word. If I continue to push out, I'll lose the connection of the breath and create tension in my throat. And y'all, let me tell you, if there's anything that will destroy your vocal health and your singing more quickly, it is tension in your throat. So we have to find a way to produce sound that does not create unnecessary tension in the throat. Okay, back to her page. By the way, this is page 41 if you have this book. She says, if I allow it all to collapse quickly, hey, if you're watching, let me know where you're watching from and say hi. Forgive me a second. I am going to mute myself for just 1 second. Okay, y'all, I'm just trying to figure out this live. I'm just trying to figure out where some of the things are on here because I'm not used to this setup. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So no tension in the throat. So important for your voice to just stay healthy so that you don't crash and burn as a singer by the time you're 30. And y'all, I've seen it. I've seen it happen to singers, and it's really not good. So we have to find a way to support our sound without putting that undue tension on our throat, as Renee Fleming talks about. So we'll continue here. She says, another crucial part of this formula is to keep the intercostals out as well and to prevent the chest from collapsing. I learned this particular technique from observing other singers, and there is a valid reason that caricatures of opera singers so often portray them as pigeon-chested. When I'm singing comfortably, I can actually imagine that my torso and my breath are doing all the work while my throat is completely relaxed. If your throat, this is me speaking, okay, this is Beth. If your throat is tight and tense and squeezed when you're singing, something's wrong. You need to stop. That will only cause you vocal harm. And that's what Renee Fleming is talking about here. She's talking about learning to coordinate the support system in the body, learning to use the big muscles efficiently so that we can take all of the undue pressure off of these little tiny muscles. Okay, hello, Beth. I'm referencing the viral. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's keep going here. Years of practice and experimentation led me to this optimal combination, which enables me to sing high tessitura pieces, which are not by nature comfortable for me. So, hey, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Glad to have you here. Let me know where you're watching from. Would love to see where y'all are from. So let me know. Okay, let's see. Here. All right, let's see. Years of practice and experimentation. Okay, so are y'all familiar with the term tessitura? Do you know what that means? Tessitura is the average, hey, from Maine. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Wonderful. You know, I've never been to Maine, but I've always wanted to go see it. I remember reading about Maine like in children's literature, and I've always just thought I would love to see it someday. Very good. Okay, so tessitura is the average pitch range of a song. So you might have a song that has a really high note and a really low note, but the tessitura is what's the average pitch range. So for some of us, we can handle a tessitura in a piece, in a song, that's much higher. And then for others of us, much lower. All right, let's keep going here. While I was trying to understand how my own body worked, there was also music to learn and the entire concept of developing an artistic interpretation to wrestle with. For me, as for most singers, the process required a huge amount of time, energy, and practice. Of course, every now and then there's someone who just happens to come by all of it naturally, the 25-year-old who just opens up his or her mouth, and by some miracle, it's all there. Yeah, Maine. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would love to come. Absolutely. I'd love to take a whole tour of New England, actually. It's probably a beautiful time of year to be there, I would imagine. Very cool. So this idea of people being naturally coordinated, y'all, these are the unicorns. Are there people who are just naturally coordinated? They just seem to be able to hear beautiful singing and then reproduce it? Yes, but that is definitely the exception to the rule. She goes on to say, but even the greatest natural talent in the world needs to learn how to support and care for her instrument. In that respect, I love this. The voice is like an inheritance. No matter how great it is, you still have to figure out a way to make it last. And to that, I just want to say it louder for the folks in the back, because your technique has got to help you last as a singer. We don't want to crash and burn when we're 30, when we're 40, when we're 50. I want to still be singing when I'm in my 80s, when I'm in my 90s. So that is one of the reasons that we build a strong, healthy technique. And I'm very, very, very passionate about that for my students, helping them build a strong, healthy technique so that they can continue in their craft, in their art form. She says, everything breaks down at some point, and if the singer doesn't know how to fix it, she will quickly fall by the wayside. I finally accepted the fact that singing takes 10 minutes to explain and 10 years to accomplish. This was all work I had begun as a high school student. Each teacher brought me further along with different explanations of the same concepts. Often, my understanding of those concepts was a result of my own experience or discovery, and sometimes it was just plain luck. Learning how to sing is rarely a process that follows in a straight line, and it's rarely clearer than fog until one grasps it in its totality. Learning to sing well takes a long time. It just does. It took me a really long time, and I'm still growing. So if you are a beginner, just know that it's going to take a long time, and that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. Hey, hey, thanks for checking in. So good to see y'all. Let me know where you're from. I'd love to see where you're from. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons I've created this channel is to give you good, healthy tips for how to build a singing technique. I did a little clip today, a little short, on an exercise to help keep your voice healthy, because that's something we all need. No matter our age, no matter our genre, we all have to be the own doorkeeper, gatekeepers, guardians of our instruments. Another thing that I'm passionate about is helping you build your musical skills. Somebody like Renee Fleming, of course, has impeccable, flawless musical skills, but those took her years and years to build. So that being said, I'll read just a little more. And then if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Any questions related to the voice, any questions related to auditions, or if there are any videos that you would like me to create regarding anything regarding vocal coaching, I would be more than happy to do that. All right, let's see here. She says, most singers are like me, building up every little note, every notch, as if the voice were a mosaic put together one tiny colored tile at a time. It's the puzzle again. Because I wasn't a natural, I had to develop a very intricate understanding of how my instrument worked, with a clear-eyed assessment of its strengths and weaknesses. I had to create a technique that was reliable regardless of how I was feeling. Someone once said that there are probably 7 naturally good singing days in a year, and those are days you won't be booked. What we must learn is how to sing through all the other days. Boy, isn't that the truth? At the start of my second year at Juilliard, I had to make a choice. I could stay where I was, continuing my work with Beverly, so a former voice teacher, and singing the lead in a Gounod opera the following year, or I could accept a Fulbright grant for study in Frankfurt, Germany. I have always been a big believer in auditioning. I knew enough to realize that most of the things I applied for would never come through. So I always thought it was best to just go ahead and throw in my hat in the ring for everything feasible and then decide what to do if I won. I think that's a good stopping place for the Renee Fleming, the inner voice. But that is something I do recommend to my students is audition for everything you can. We have to get experience performing. We have to get experience doing auditions, concerts, recitals, operas, musical theaters. So just any experience you can get, you need to see what it's like singing in different spaces, in different venues, in churches, in different size churches, in different size recital halls and stages, and the acoustics are going to be different. Yes, we need a lot of experience. Yes, we do need a lot of experience for sure. Well, y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening. I'll try to pop on here about once a week for a live. But again, if you have any questions or anything you'd like a little technique on, you want to work some more on solfege, just let me know. And I try to put out, a short every morning on a topic that I think will be helpful for you as you grow your voice. All right. Thanks so much for being here. And I look forward to chatting with you soon. Okay.